chart of the moment. Okay, so I was finishing up this other video I made for my tarot channel because I'm starting to go through the court cards and like immediately come across the idea that like kings and queens are gendered into like masculine and feminine expression, and like what is that? What does that mean? What do I mean by that? Exploring all of that led me to, here's my notes on that, led me to also be comparing my ideas of fixed and cardinal, because I have a tarot system where are kings and cardinal are queens. And once I did a reflection on like, okay, what are like the cultural ideas of like the masculine principle, and what are the cultural ideas of like the feminine principle, regardless of how well or nicely or terribly that shows up actually in culture, and then especially across generation as like preferences for like masculinity or what that means, or like the ideas of feminine and femininity. So anyway, I was having this like big brain moment while I was thinking about it, because that line of thinking led me to be thinking about astrology and how the solar and lunar principle, like at like even if you're trying to find significations for the principles, there are no bodies that contain only a solar or a lunar principle. Everybody contains all of those expressions, and it's like which principle is being expressed in what quantity at any given time. And I was like, there's no body like in the zeitgeist that has only a single expression to share. And I was like, oh my god, but except for the sun and the moon. And then here's some other ideas I had to go through. Um, so in the sun and the moon, the sun has domicile in a hot solar, traditionally masculine sign, and exaltation, and detriment, and fall. So right when you would think that the sign of this planet's downfall, where they were obviously not doing well, where they may express that would be in a sign in an opposite nature to them. If this is the solar force, then probably in a lunar sign. But instead, it is so integral to the sun's nature to be solar that even his expression of downfall, of detriment, is a solar expression. He has no way to express lunarly. He can only express solarly. Even at the furthest reaches of his ability to express in detriment and downfall, it is still in the end a solar expression. Ah? And like what we know, if we've been studying our astrology, is that all the solar signs, like these sextiles and trines, he still has some of his, core expression available. And then moon rules Cancer, has exaltation in Taurus, has detriment in Capricorn, and has fall in Scorpio. And if we're studying our astrology, we know that these signs are sextile and these signs are sextile. These are all cold or lunar or nocturnal or feminine polarity signs. And then these trines have they all have something to talk about. So even though sun, we get it. Sun has a single expression. Sun cares about the daytime. Sun does the same thing all the time. Okay. Maybe the moon, who has more changeability and more shift, who goes through more darkness and more light and thus more change than the sun, has a change. And the signs of her disexpression or her poor expression or her distressed expression would be in a solar sign. We might expect her to, when she's expressing really poorly, to thus be in an environment that is ill suited to her. But no, the moon is of such a lunar nature that it is even within the dregs of her expression, the bottom of the barrel of her expression, it is still a lunar expression. She has no capacity, no way, no method, no part of her nature can express solarly. Even when ignored, even when in the depths of pain, it will still be a lunar mode of action and expression. Ah? Okay. That is the big brain moment that I had. Thank you. Goodbye.